Are you tired of constantly buying soil amendments and still seeing mediocre results? What if the secret to extraordinary garden fertility isn't found in a bag or bottle, but in an ancient technique that works with nature's own rhythms? We're diving into a method that bypasses all the modern fuss, rooted in wisdom that sustained civilizations for millennia. Discover why what you don't add this October could be the key to your best garden yet. Before the agricultural revolution brought us synthetic fertilizers and complex soil testing kits, farmers and gardeners relied on a beautifully simple technique that modern horticulture has largely abandoned. This ancient method, practiced across diverse cultures from Korean natural farming to medieval European monastery gardens, centers on one fundamental principle: allowing the soil to feed itself through strategic dormancy and biological activation. So, the technique here involves preparing your garden beds in October by laying down specific organic materials in precise layers. Then, you just step back and let winter's natural processes do the work, transforming these materials into a living, nutrient-rich foundation that, honestly, requires no additional inputs. The real genius of this approach is in understanding soil, not as some inert growing medium that needs constant supplementation, but as a living ecosystem. When you give it the right conditions, it can generate its own fertility, all on its own. Ancient gardeners recognized that autumn's cooling temperatures, increased rainfall, and those lengthening nights create just the ideal circumstances for soil microorganisms to multiply, well, exponentially. These microbes, like beneficial bacteria, fungi, and actinomycetes, are the true fertilizer factories of your garden. They break down organic matter and make nutrients available in forms that plants can actually absorb and use. Unlike water-soluble synthetic amendments that leach away with winter rains, this biological fertility remains stable within the soil structure. It's held in reserve by microbial biomass until your spring plants need it. October represents a narrow but crucial opportunity that cannot be replicated at any other time of year. As soil temperatures drop into the range of 50 to 60 degrees Fahrenheit, a specific succession of decomposer organisms becomes highly active. They work more efficiently than they do in either the heat of summer or the deep cold of winter. These cool season microbes specialize in breaking down the tougher lignins and celluloses found in autumn's fallen leaves and expired plant material. They transform what appears to be waste into stable humus that will anchor nutrients throughout the coming seasons. The magic of October preparation also lies in timing the technique to coincide with nature's own nutrient cycling. As deciduous trees and perennial plants prepare for dormancy, they withdraw mobile nutrients from their leaves and stems, but other elements remain in the plant tissue. When you harness these materials in October and create the right conditions for decomposition, you're essentially capturing and concentrating nutrients that would otherwise be dispersed across the landscape. Winter's freeze-thaw cycles, combined with consistent moisture and the slow but steady work of soil organisms, create a perfectly inoculated, biologically active bed that enters spring already teeming with life. Starting this process in October gives the system a full 4 to 5 months of development time, allowing multiple generations of beneficial organisms to establish themselves before your growing season begins. The implementation is remarkably straightforward, requiring no specialized equipment beyond basic garden tools you already own. Begin by clearing your October garden beds of any remaining crop residues, pulling spent plants but leaving their roots intact in the soil. These root channels will become highways for water, air, and new root growth come spring. Next, apply a generous layer of freshly fallen leaves, approximately 4 to 6 inches deep, directly onto the soil surface. Avoid using leaves from black walnut trees, as they contain juglone, which inhibits many garden plants, but virtually any other deciduous tree leaves work beautifully. Over this leaf layer, add a thin sprinkling of aged manure, finished compost, or even quality topsoil. just enough to barely dust the leaves with perhaps half an inch of material. This addition isn't serving as fertilizer in the traditional sense. Instead, it's inoculating the leaf layer with the specific microorganisms needed to initiate rapid decomposition. The final and perhaps most counterintuitive step is to thoroughly soak these layers with water, then walk away completely. Do not till, do not turn, and do not disturb these beds until spring planting time arrives. The undisturbed layering allows fungal networks to establish themselves horizontally through the materials, creating the mycelial highways that will later feed your plants. Throughout winter, remarkable transformations occur within these quiet beds. The leaf layer gradually collapses as decomposition proceeds, eventually reducing to perhaps 1/3 of its original height. Earthworms migrate upward from deeper soil layers, drawn by the abundant food source, and their castings further enrich the developing topsoil. Fungal hyphae spread through the decomposing leaves like fine white threads, binding particles together and creating stable soil aggregates. By late winter, what began as distinct layers has merged into a unified, biologically rich growing medium that looks and feels entirely different from what you started with. It's quite something to witness this transformation, isn't it? When spring arrives and you finally pull back any remaining leaf mulch, you'll discover soil transformed into something almost unrecognizable. The texture will be loose and friable, easily penetrated by your fingers, with an earthy, sweet smell that indicates healthy microbial activity. It's like nature's own magic at work. Plants established in beds, prepared this way, exhibit remarkably different growth patterns compared to those in conventionally amended soils. Root systems develop more extensively, exploring the full depth of your prepared beds rather than remaining shallow. It's amazing how such a simple change can make such a big difference. Foliage emerges with deeper green coloration, indicating optimal nitrogen availability, while flowering and fruiting occur more prolifically thanks to the balanced nutrition provided by slow-release biological processes. Perhaps most remarkably, beds prepared using this October technique maintain their fertility throughout the entire growing season without additional feeding. The living soil continues generating plant-available nutrients as the season progresses, sustained by the biological momentum established during winter. This isn't just about one successful season. You're establishing a self-perpetuating system that improves year after year as soil organic matter accumulates and microbial diversity increases. Gardens maintained this way gradually require less intervention, fewer purchased inputs, and less troubleshooting of nutrient deficiencies, because you've aligned your practices with natural processes refined over millions of years of terrestrial evolution. If you're ready to break free from the cycle of constant amendments and discover what your soil can accomplish when given the right conditions at the right time, this October is your moment to begin. Subscribe to the Living Soil Lab for more techniques that reconnect modern gardening with ancient wisdom, and share this video with fellow gardeners who are ready to work with nature rather than constantly working against it. Your best garden is waiting, and it starts with what you do this month.